Hi there, thanks for joining today. We're going to work on row 5 now. Row 5 is called a cross stitch. It's a beautiful stitch but so simple. You're going to start with a color change and then chain 2 and turn your work. Changing into the hazelnut. Oh, there's my fat Jack Russell. It explains the hair on my sleeve. But she's a good girl. All right, chain 2, and now you're going to turn. You're going to skip the very first stitch and you're going to make a double crochet in the second stitch from your hook. Insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops. There you go. Now you're going to work in the stitch that you've just skipped. You go back and make your double crochet in the one that you've just skipped. You will see later it creates an X or a cross stitch. We're going to repeat this sequence throughout the entire row. You will see that it does look a bit strange in the beginning, but it will take shape later on. So skip 1 stitch, do your double crochet, then go back and make a double crochet in the one that you've skipped before. Generally my tension is quite tense. I work quite tight, so I had to constantly remind myself with this stitch to let the yarn give way a bit so that it's not too tight, otherwise my blanket is going to pull. So you're going to repeat these 2 steps up until the end, and you're going to end with 1 double crochet in the last stitch. So you'll have 2 chains in the beginning, 79 cross stitches and 1 double crochet at the end. That is row 5. There you go, picking up some speed there. And there you can see clearly. All right, so at the end of this row, you are going to change color again. We're going to constantly change colors unless we are working on row 6, which I'll explain later. Look at how pretty is that cross stitches. All right. So we ended up with a double crochet in the last one. So now we're going to do a popcorn stitch. Popcorn stitch, very easy. It simply is 1 treble crochet and 1 single crochet in the same space, and then a single crochet in the next space, and then repeat these 2 steps throughout. So you're going to start with your 2 chains in the beginning. All right, just get that right. Chain 2 and turn. Good. So now the very first stitch is going to be a treble. Bear in mind, we are talking US terms here. So 1 treble crochet, yarn over, insert, grab your yarn, pull through, grab your yarn, pull through 2, grab your yarn, pull through 2, grab your yarn, pull through 2. That is my treble crochet, a long stitch. And then you anchor it with a single crochet in the same stitch. That is followed by 1 single crochet in the very next stitch. And that is the whole sequence. So next, you're going to do a treble crochet and a single crochet, followed by a single crochet. A treble crochet and a single crochet and a single crochet. You will see the popcorn stitch. You are working now you're working on the wrong side of your blanket. So the popcorn is going to pop to the back, which is in actual fact the front of your blanket. It's not a deathly sin. This blanket you can use either way. There's not a definite wrong side, but the front side, the right side, will be the prettiest one, because 2 stitches that discern the front of the work is the popcorn stitch and the bobble stitch, and that gives a lovely texture. There you go. There are my popcorns. So I'm going to have 2 double crochets in the beginning, 79 popcorn stitches, 79 single crochets, and 1 single crochet in the last space. I must admit at this stage that, as you know, I'm also working on another blanket, exactly this pattern, but just in an acrylic yarn and a bigger hook. And I have found that there were times that my stitch count did not correspond with the pattern. But with time and experience, you get to see where you can wing it this way or that way. Just don't lose faith and stop doing it because you're experiencing some problems. Now, very important, at the end of row 6, you're going to go to row 7, but you must not change color. You're going to continue with the color that you've made the popcorn stitch in. You are going to do an entire row of single crochets. So if you think back, it was a treble and a single, and then a single, a treble and a single. So that gives you sets of 3s. So you're going to do 2 single crochets. You're going to skip the popcorn stitch and make a single crochet in the next 2. In the beginning, you'll just have to get used to dodging the popcorn of the previous row, but you will see it just gives a pretty neat edge. I mean, it is quite a contrast to have a treble and a single next to each other. So row 7 is smoothing out your last row. And as I've said previously, at this stage it might look that your ends are not in a straight line like there, but you will see it does settle out itself later. So we're going to move to row 8. Row 8 is a very, very enjoyable stitch. It's called a trip stitch. It looks complicated, but it is not. You are going to work, basically, you're going to do different, a trip stitch, and you're going to end up with 4 loops on your hook, and then you're going to seal it with 1 chain. You will see it's going to make sense now, but it creates a beautiful stitch. All right, so you are going to yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert, grab your yarn, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. Now you've got 3. So yarn over, insert, grab your yarn, pull through, grab your yarn, pull through 2 loops. Now I've got 4 loops, and that is where I'm going to stop. I'm going to grab my yarn and pull through all 4, and I'm going to secure it with a chain. Now the most important thing that you must remember is that you're going to do your next stitch in the stitch that you've just made your last with it, exactly where you last inserted your hook. So in other words, you're not going to work in a sequence of next stitch, next stitch, next stitch. No, your next trip stitch is always going to start in the same stitch where the previous trip stitch ended. And you're going to continue that sequence throughout the entire row. Initially, I did not do that. So that was one row I had to pull out because it did not make sense at all. So basically, muscle memory steps in after a few stitches and then off you go. As long as you remember at the end of your stitch, you must have 4 loops on your hook before your last yarn over and pull through and secure it with a chain. At the end of row 8, you're going to have your 2 starting chains in the beginning. You're going to have 79 trip stitches and you're going to end with 1 double crochet in the last space. You'll notice again it's pulling a bit, but it compensates. The different rows compensates because some are tighter, some are looser, but it all fit in place. Look at that beautiful trip stitch. All right, the last row we're going to do in this video is row 9. Row 9 is exactly the same as row 5. It's a repeat of what you've did in row 5. You had to change color at the end of your trip stitch row. Change color and once again start off with 2 chains and then turn your work. Oh, I love this turquoise. All right, you're going to make a double crochet in the next. You're going to skip the first stitch and you're going to make a double crochet in the next. So it's a repeat of the cross stitches you did in row 5. So change color, chain 2, turn. Skip 1 stitch, make a double crochet and then go back and work a double crochet in the stitch that you've skipped. When you've done that cross stitch, you're going to again skip 1 stitch, make a double crochet in the next stitch and go back and make a double crochet in the one that you've skipped. An entire row of cross stitches. At the end of this row, you are going to have your 2 chains in the beginning. You're going to have 79 cross stitches. So bear in mind you had 79 trip stitches and now you're going to have 79 cross stitches. So it should work out, and then you're going to end with a double crochet in your very last space. So basically the pattern of this cowl is a repeats from row 2 to 11, and we have done up till row 9. So in the next video we're going to do the last 2 rows and then we're just going to continue in this sequence until your yarn is finished or your blanket has reached the required length. Beautiful, look at those cross stitches. Perfect. And it's in blue. Thank you for joining. I'll hope that you'll join me next time. Hit the subscribe button and we'll continue next time. Take care.